My name's Don Sklenka. I lead our AI optimization product at Claritas. And the primary topic of today's session is going to be smarter optimization. Smarter optimization, whether that is around audiences or whether that's around creative or measurement or data in general. And of course, we will talk about AI because every session we'll talk about AI. When we met as a group beforehand, the goal is to really allow you guys to have a couple of nuggets of information when you walk away. I remembered someone said this, and they made a good point, and this is something I really want to think about. That's really our objective up here, is to have some topics to talk about. Obviously, some canned questions to enable some of those nuggets to come to life. But that's really the goal. And we have, obviously, a great set of panelists here. I want to get the blood flowing a little bit, and I'll let them introduce themselves, and then we'll get into the questions. So without further ado, Catherine, go ahead.
Hey, I'm Catherine Edelman. I manage our paid media team at Regions Bank.
Hey guys, Harrison Aquino, VP of Marketing for Suncoast Credit Union, and also World Champion of the Macarena Dance.
Wait a second, are we going to do this, or?
We can do that anytime, Dan. You just told me.
All right.
Okay, challenge accepted. Mary Gustafson, VP of Product Marketing at Vistar Credit Union. Oh,
yeah. And I'm SVP of Jonathan Hansen, SVP of Marketing at Vistar Credit Union as well.
And so we put up this slide again for you all. You can take a scan of the QR code, link in with everyone here, send them, slide into their DMs if you want. So we'll start off with honestly, a very easy question, but it's something that everyone should be very proud of. And at this panel, what we really want to talk about is, to start, is what is something that you all individually, from your marketing efforts, what was something that was very innovative that you each launched in 2025, or what is something that you are looking forward to launching in 2026? Because everyone in this room they're probably working on something similar, or a big project, we're trying to launch this or that. So talk a little bit about what it is you're launching, and we'll go, straight left to right.
Yeah. So one of our projects, it's one of my favorites, is our SEC sponsorship. So we are the official bank of the SEC, which I love. And what makes this really innovative is how we go to market. So I think with innovation, you think immediately of your tech and your tools and everything in the digital space, but you forget what's happening in the physical and the real world. So we make sure that we tie it all together. So from having dynamic digital ads that might do a countdown to kickoff for football, we're also having people on site doing face painting at the games, or having full wallscapes talking about the SEC championship. So it's really innovative in how we're bringing those tools and tech into that physical space so that it's kind of an omni-channel experience for that customer.
Harrison, how about you?
Sure. I think that all of us, we have the same products, right? We have the checking account, we have mortgages, we have auto loans, we have, you name it. So what makes us different? So one of the things that we've really been working on since probably last year for the most part is creating strategic partnerships that bring true value to the members. And what that means is, how do you add more value to that checking account that is beyond the rate, right? So we have created this strategy around partnering with kids museums, with sport teams, with the aquarium, with the zoo, with you name it, right? So that, once again, the members can see the value beyond that piece that is pretty much equal to all of us. But because we all love experiences, how do we bring those experiences because you have that product? And that's one of the things that we're working on since last year.
Sensing a theme here. We have some experiences. All right. Mary, Jonathan?
I think for me, the most innovative thing was around checking accounts as well. We've partnered with Claritas and Vericast. Thank you very much for your
partnership. That was a plug.
They didn't pay me for that. I did pay them.
True.
That is true. Anyway, so our innovative thing that I really, really liked doing last year was AI testing for creative and audience. We did it for the display advertising for one of our checking accounts. Well, you said that most of our checking accounts the same, but we had this product that was checking account with lots of benefits, but it had a monthly fee. So now our members had to pay a monthly fee, but get very great benefits for that, like cell phone protection and things like that. This was a new product for our market, and we were trying to figure out how do we sell it, how do we show the value, and how do we determine the right audience with the right benefits for those people. So we did the focus groups, we did the market research, things that we all do when we need to launch the product. But what really made the difference is this AI testing of audience and creative, where we were able to test 3 different themes. For each of those themes, we chose 3 different backgrounds, 3 different headlines, 3 different buttons, and AI allowed us mix and match those things with different audiences. So after 2 weeks of running those ads, we knew, we at that point knew that, for example, flourishing families really like that image and that yellow button, and then when we go with the cell phone protection benefit first and then others later. So now it was really data that helped us show the value proposition. And we proved some long debates that we had that everybody does like those images with dogs. Yes. Any segment, just try it, it works. And I think the buttons, so yellow button outperformed blue buttons every time. So if you are arguing with your senior team or with your marketing department, yellow button is better.
Who needs AI? Just dogs. That's it.
Until you have a dog and then you realize the picture's great, but owning it is another thing. But so, especially when you have 2 kids. Not that I know from experience. So another interesting thing that we did was we did a financial stability study partnering with TransUnion, and which, long story short, at a high level, it revealed that the majority of residents in our markets were carrying significantly higher debt than national benchmarks. So from there, that's a very relevant data point, and we had it, an aggregate across all of our markets as well as market-specific data. So, Atlanta, Jacksonville, and Orlando are some of our biggest markets. We were able to provide, the levels of debts in each, and then we created a campaign to specifically called the Debt Payoff Challenge, which specifically addressed that consumer need. And then we partnered with our vendors that were mentioned to really identify those vulnerable segments and offer and educate them on products and solutions that we have that can help them achieve their goals. So far from that, since we were, again, starting with like what is the need and then backing into what offer or campaign can we create to serve that specific need, we've had a little over 41,000 participants in the challenge, and 11,000 of those are already on track or have started to reduce their debt actively. So that, I think, really showed the power of, when you start with what's the need and create a campaign from there, it makes all the difference.
And so if we think about, again, the theme of this session, this is a macro optimization. So adding digital experiences, adding AI solutions, things like that, these are macro optimizations. Also more on the positive side, but we want to make sure this is a realistic panel for everyone. So we're going to kind of flip it a little bit with the next question. And when it comes to innovation and the financial services space, and we'll start this way and work our way back, what are some of those things that create hurdles or make it difficult to innovate? Or what are some of the challenges that you all experience when it comes to innovation?
Yeah, I think, well, first and foremost, it's getting probably executive buy-in on what exactly is the juice worth the squeeze, and trying to prioritize what are the organizational goals. So for instance, if we have a defined segmentation strategy where we're trying to look at what are solutions and products and services for our ideal member profile that we created. But again, it's is there buy-in internally to spend the time and resources above and beyond the projects that are already in queue to create new products and services that you need to serve those specific segments you're targeting? Or is it better to kind of just repackage what you have in an innovative or creative way to try and get around that and still try and serve the need of those segments?
What about Suncoast or regions?
All right. I was just thinking about it, and I think that I can summarize it with one word: compliance. Anyhow, right? But besides that, once you kind of, go over that big obstacle, so to speak, I think that for us, we are all in when it comes to innovation, the Suncoast Credit Union. And the truth of the matter is that we're not afraid to innovate, try new things, fail. We're not afraid of failing as well, which is really important. Because the only way that you know whether or not you are moving forward, if you at least fail once or twice along the way. but you know that you're making progress as you go along. So innovation for us happens on a daily, and what that means is from replacing one headline to creating a brand new campaign around a product or a different approach for the member experience for that matter. So yes, all a bit short, compliance.
So I mean, that's the fear of failure is preventing the innovation, which is it should be the opposite. In order to innovate, you should push to fail to learn something, which again is a completely different way of thinking. So
Yeah.
So what about regions?
Yeah, I would say compliance, but also our cybersecurity folks. We kind of have to arm wrestle them a little bit, send some beer and cookies their way. But then also, once you have the tool and the tech, the adoption of it and making sure that all of the data that we're feeding it is, high integrity data that can actually put out a strong product. And I think that takes some time to really weed through and make sure that you have the strongest data set to give you what you need.
So, and I think that's a good segue into the elephant in the room, which is AI. It's hopefully soon this stops becoming like a separate topic on its own, and it's just part of the discussion. But we're getting there. We're in that process where things are starting to shift, where AI is just you better be doing something there or you're lost. In that same vein, I guess Harrison, Jonathan, what's some of the most surprising things that AI has brought to Suncoast, or what has it brought to your organization that you probably didn't really realize existed prior to the integrations of AI modeling and AI just in general?
I would say one of those things is that AI has not replaced strategy. It has not replaced the marketer, period. It could replace the speed at which you go into the market. It could replace the way you can generate copy, creative, all of that stuff. But the truth of the matter is that the strategy remains human, which is really important, right? And that's something that we have to be mindful of, especially for our teams that obviously there's a lot of anxiety when it comes to AI and is it going to replace my job, all of that good stuff. But I think that if we know that at the end of the day, the strategy and the marketer is a human being that feels and have those emotions, AI is just going to facilitate things along the way, and it's going to make our job a lot easier so that we can focus on the true things that matter.
Yeah, I mean, and building off of that, because I completely agree, I'd say, two things for us are efficiency and ideation. So in terms of efficiency, I think like the test that Mary mentioned, so we started with 3 pieces of creative and created 62, 63 versions, all automated, learned from that, and we can run it again. And now we have a data-driven approach to be able to say, this creative works best for this audience and we can prove it. So that was really interesting, and instead of working with a team of graphic designers, we worked with one platform. And ideation is the other thing. I think as marketers, we know very well that all the good ideas have been taken. So having AI to kind of really elevate and enhance ideas that we may have has really been a help. So maybe we're 75% of the way there with an idea we have, but it's been done. And we can put that in, we use Copilot. I can talk about that later, but if we can put that in Copilot and say, all right, how do I differentiate myself in my specific market? That's something. And I would say one other thing that we've done that's pretty unique is, and others may have as well, is create focus groups using AI. So we have traditional focus groups for qualitative research, but now we can create an AI-generated focus group where, let's say, flourishing families is a segment I'm trying to reach. I can do copy testing and ad testing to that specific segment and have the focus group respond coming from that segment. So and we've tested this against a traditional focus group, and directionally they give the same answers. So that again saves us time, money, and we can do a lot more copy and ad testing and have a lot more data-driven results from that.
Which I think is a great segue to our next topic, which is creative. So I guess keep the mic here, Harrison. But what is it when it comes to creative? How are you all evolving your creative strategies, your creative development, using AI, using different optimization tools? Talk a little bit about what Suncoast is doing, and then same question for the ViStar folks.
Yeah. So one of the things that obviously most of us try is having as many versions as we can of any type of creator, right? I think that we check that box. Obviously, one of the benefits of AI these days that right now, for the most part, most of our teams probably take, I don't know, maybe a day, 2, 3 days, a week to actually create that output. with the help of AI, to her point, right now you can create different variations in seconds, minutes, maybe an hour, without the need of using resources from your team necessarily. So one of the things that we are mindful of, once again, is what is that emotional piece that is truly going to connect with the human at the other side? It just comes down to that. It's not about the rate. Yes, the rate plays a role, obviously, and the product itself. But at the end of the day, you're talking to a human being in a way that we know that it's just going to be a random John, Jane that is, hanging out with their kids or wife or husband or someone's brother, uncle. So we have to talk to them as such. We don't have this vision that this is the perfect life that someone is living in. So all of a sudden we have to kind of have that perfect tone and voice. We just have to talk to them the way we think they are, regardless of our ideal client or member in our case.
I really like that. And I think for us it's similar because now with help of AI, we actually can think about these things and go into that emotional, where our members are, not just like, hey, let's, put that creative, that messaging, but really think what will resonate and actually test. If before, for example, our team invested a lot into doing A/B testing. We had the dashboards and spreadsheets where we, tracked, we did this A/B testing for this creative, and that's how it performed with this audience. Now you can put it actually in Copilot 365 and it remembers and can offer you what to do next. But also now we can do not A/B testing, it's A to Z testing in seconds. There are platforms like Adobe that you can just put the spreadsheet in and it will deliver you 50 different variations of this creative in like 2 minutes, which really gives our teams more time to strategize and really think about member, not just be performative in terms of what we put out there, but actually put our hearts maybe into it.
And again, another great nugget there. So it's not A/B testing, it's A to Z testing. And I think that the traditional way of going to market always was A/B. And if you think about this audience here, how many people are in this audience, and you put every one of you are going to be responding to one ad or another, that's crazy, right? That's how everything was from a traditional perspective. It was, we're going to put 2 ads in market, and everyone's going to respond to one way or the other. There was always this promise of right place, right time, right message. The hard part about doing that is actually executing it, manually creating if-then statements, creating decision trees. That takes a lot of time, energy, effort, resources, and the juice wasn't really worth the squeeze. Now with AI, you truly can generate X amount of variations for Y amount of people in your audience and let it pick and choose who gets what message. So this idea of A/B testing should start to move away into the idea of A to Z testing, where it's really identifying everyone in your audience as a unique individual. Everyone in your audience has a unique data set. Everyone should get a unique message. So as a segue to that, did you guys find any issues when it comes to creative with your brand? Any issues that everyone in the audience thinks AI and my creative is going to be Frankenstein and I will never have control of it. Did you guys run into any issues when you leveraged some of these technologies?
Compliance. But I think if you explain to compliance and risk management and all those things really how it works and actually invest time in explaining and showing all the documentation, you can actually streamline everything within your brand voice, everything within compliance guidelines, and then in the future it will be so much easier for them and you, because if you pre-approve all those headlines and creatives and you know what to put there, it is easy for them to approve as well. So, but compliance, it was the beginning of it to show how it will actually work and explaining that. Just invest time in it.
Anything from regions you'd like to add? We could talk creative for a while, right?
We can talk. So we have done some of the less AI-led decision trees, and you're right. It took a lot of time from our team. I think we also have quite a few cooks sometimes that can join the kitchen, which always makes it challenging. And so we have not tested into this creative platform yet, but I know it's something that we're wanting to do, because being able to free up time for our teams to actually strategize instead of building out the exact roadmap and decision of what we want them to do next, is very intriguing. So we'll be chatting later.
Plug. So now again, so we've talked about, at the macro level, optimizations from a brand marketing perspective. We talked a little bit about AI. We talked about audiences. We talked about creative. Now let's talk media. When it comes to data and insights and getting real-time data and insights, what are some of those things that Regions Bank is doing innovative, or how are you leveraging the data in real time to make decisions when it comes to budgeting, when it comes to media optimizations? Talk a little bit about that topic.
Yeah, so we partner with a wonderful media agency, and we are able to funnel all of our data real time into a dashboard. So this one in particular is Tableau, but could be a Domo. And I think really the important piece there is, because you have this data doesn't mean we need to be playing whack-a-mole and trying to
That is true.
trying to put out every fire. And so it really allows us the ability to see what's an anomaly, keep a pulse on it. Maybe after 1 week it's resolved itself because it's paid media. A new competitor might have come into the space. After 2 or 3 weeks, okay, now you have a trend. Now you can start shifting dollars and pulling between those dollars. But I think it's really meaningful to take that time and not act immediately just because the data is there.
And how is your strategy changing across channels? Like, how are you optimizing between channels? Is it every 6 months? Is it real time? Like, talk a little bit about how you guys are doing that at Regions.
Yeah, so I know I do have blonde curly hair, so I feel like I'm like Goldilocks sometimes of
No comment.
this budget's too high, this budget's too small, that we are optimizing and shifting dollars across channels. Sometimes it might need to be weekly based off of what our goals are and how our different business groups have challenged us. But really, for the most part, I might say on a monthly basis. But again, it's really dependent. It's easier in that bottom funnel if you're looking at, we need to invest X to get Y. Where it is a little bit trickier is when you move up and you're talking more upper funnel, where we're still able to measure brand results, brand affinity, and can flex there. That one I would say is more of a quarterly, biannual basis.
I think when it comes to that, the real challenge is attribution, right? Because obviously we all use multi-channel approach. We are everywhere: social media, offline, TV, streaming, you name it, right? Which one is bringing home the bacon? Which one is it? We don't know. Is it the last click? Is it the first impression? Is it the one in the middle? So the real issue
All of them combined?
All of them combined, exactly. All of the above. But then you have to make the decision, all right, I only have this much money. Which of the, Peter Pan was just touched by 7 different of my channels, and the last click was this one. However, this one is as important as this last click. Where my money goes. And I can tell you that I'm not sure that I have the answer for that. There are some tools that we're testing right now in some specific partners that we're looking into that, because that's important to know, right? Which of those actually you assign the right weight to it so that you can truly make some decisions when it comes to that. And this is really a struggle. I mean, the reality is that's the case, right? We have not found that magic pill that tells us, yes, someone saw the billboard and then they search and then they did this and they did that. Therefore, you should do it, just invest in all of them. Well, we don't have money for all of them, right?
Yeah.
So that's the problem.
Yeah, and I would totally agree with that. As we've leaned more into the attributable media, working with some vendors that are here today as well, for that same reason, because in the past, as you know, when things go well, it's frontline or word of mouth, and when things go bad, it's marketing's fault. So I think I've learned that
Exactly.
very
That's a good
early on.
nugget. Write that one down.
Yeah, exactly. So having the data to prove, okay, we influenced at least, that's the word that's been accepted. We've marketing influenced, leader conversion, no matter what channel they converted on, whether they saw a streaming ad and we know you went to a branch to open an account, and we have a list that we can reference back to. That has really helped. We also look at correlation between, earned media is something we've really tried to overlay into everything we're doing to amplify all channels, and what kind of measure what impact earned media, sponsorship activity, all the other things, community involvement that you're doing, how is that also amplifying and, improving your more lower funnel activities as well?
So to kind of start to bring this home a bit, again, we've kept themes here and different topics. That was the final one, which is really measurement and attribution. Now I want to talk a little bit about forward thinking and think about, each of your next 3 years, your roadmap. It's going to be literally impossible to predict what's going to be going on in 3 years. The world, from a technology perspective, is changing daily. So everyone here faces the same challenge. You're being bombarded with new technologies and vendors calling you up every day to say, use us, use us, use us. We get it. We're one of those. But at the same time, think about your roadmap and what it is that you want to achieve over the next couple of years. So we'll work our way back this way on the ViStar side. So when you think about the next 3 years, what's like 1 or 2 things that you all are prioritizing when it comes to innovation or capabilities or solutions from a company perspective?
I think for us is 3 things. The first one is connected data. You cannot do any of the things that we discussed here. I don't think we can even think about AI if our data is not connected. There is behavioral data, transactional data, all the data that you learn from all your campaigns, all that attribution. It is, I think, unrealistic for you to think that it can be all in one place, but at least in one place that can be connected to all the other data sources. That is something is realistic, and that's what we're working on right now, to make sure that all the data that we have, it can be captured for us to move forward and know as much as we can, and for AI to learn it, because as people, we might not be able to conceive that much information. The second thing, I would say AI workflows, AI-driven workflows. If AI can do all the testing, optimization, even creating creatives, that gives us opportunity to think, strategize, and really make the real impact out there. And I would say the third thing, fast learning. Let's learn fast, maybe fail fast, but now we can do this. Learn, execute, optimize, repeat.
Harrison?
Okay, well, you guys might not like this one.
Macarena.
Macarena, exactly. So the next 3 years, I think that my hope is that we as Incos, we learn from not other banks or financial institutions, but from other verticals and other industries. Who else is doing it right that isn't a bank? Who else is doing it right that is not a credit union, right? So I guess what I'm telling you is don't do whatever it is that we're doing, because at the end of the day, we're all going to be doing the same thing. And if innovation means don't do the same thing, right? You're doing something that is totally different from the rest of the pack. So my hope is that 3 years from now, we can go back here and tell you that we're doing something that the financial world is not doing. Basically, that's probably what innovation looks like to me.
Love that answer. Catherine, take us home.
For the next 3 years, I think, we have done a great job of testing, but there is a little bit of that fear of failure or selling that up. And so not being afraid to do the test, try the new creative optimization tool.
Plug.
And really view it as more of okay, are we going to stick it like in gymnastics, or are we going to pivot and twist and go our merry way and learn something new? So I think getting out of our own way a little bit is going to be something that I hope that we are able to do. I think also just internally, it takes us a long time to do things. I don't know if any of you guys have that same experience, but by the time we actually have the tool up and running, I feel like we're a little bit behind the 8 ball. And so I think that is less of what are we going to adopt, but how can I leverage and influence internally a little bit more to get people more educated on what we can do and how it can move our business forward so that we stop getting in our way. A little bit of internal politicking there, but wish me luck.
You're going to need it. Well, we wanted to make sure there was time enough at the end of the session. You have a great set of panelists up here that are willing and more than willing to answer some questions. We know that when there's 100 people in a room, no one wants to raise their hand, but would really appreciate it if anyone has some questions. We're happy to take them and answer them. If you need me to walk around with a microphone, I can do that. But we got a question in the 4th row. Have you noticed any changes in your cost per account with the new A to Z testing as it's been coined today?
Sure, and Mary jump in as well. But yes, so overall, what we're able to do is understand, if a specific headline is working best, we are able to quickly update all of our media to that headline, and we look as an aggregate, not at just the one channel we're using this AI platform for. And yes, long story short, so I think it was like 10-15% increase off the top of my head, or decrease in cost per acquisition holistically when we made that adjustment based on the learnings from the AI test.
And I just wanted to add, I don't think I gave that stat. We saw 194% increase in our conversions when we did that. So obviously it meant that CPA went down. Even though it was a little bit more expensive than doing A/B test, it still was worth it.
Do you have a favorite failure? Love the question.
Wow, I have one actually. So, so there's this reputable partner of ours, not in presence, you guys not here, with this fantastic AI tool that it was sold to us to solve the world's hunger, basically, and every war or every conflict that there was up there. This is a multinational company that's basically telling us, hey, we have developed this AI tool that is just going to take the team to the next level. We've been testing it, retesting it, retweaking it for the last 8 months, and we have not been able to launch one campaign yet.
Not a plug, not Claritas.
Good clarification.
So, yes, that's a big failure because obviously we trusted that this big name, right? And we said, well, they got their act together. They know what they're doing. AI, duh, yes, let's go all in. Wow.
Has that failure prevented you to do other things, or did you view it as a positive failure in the sense that, okay, now we know what is, sifting through the gold mine, kind of sifting through and finding nuggets?
Oh yeah. Oh no, definitely. I mean, there's no failure without learnings, right? That's the big thing. Obviously, sometimes those are costly, but I think that we learn a lot. One of the things that probably each one of us here is that everything has an AI, right? And today I was thinking about it, and I said, AI, what the heck is AI? I said, oh, it's Ask Intern. That's what that is. AI is just an intern that is in your company. He's like, hey, can you do this for me? Sometimes it's going to do it right, and sometimes it's going to be like, huh?
That is the best.
So, and sometimes you want to keep it like, I want to hire this guy. And I was like, who hired this guy? So we have to be careful with that, right? Because the AI word gets thrown out everywhere, and just because it has the AI right next to it as a last name, it doesn't mean that is the right thing for you. Just look under the hood, make sure that there's actually a use case and they kind of know what the heck they're doing, regardless of how big they are. We've been working with some smaller companies, status is like, oh yeah, this guy's got it, right? Very passionate, willing to go the extra mile for you to make sure that your thing works. Big companies, yeah, you get what you get. We'll send you the invoice.
Is there something you guys wish that you could use that you can't use because you're in financial services from a technology solutions perspective?
I would like to incentivize for investment services. That Starbucks app, I know, we were talking about that they made an update, and when you add money to Starbucks right now, if you add more, not just like $25, but if you add $30, $35, or $40 to your Starbucks account, it gives you star points back. Before it was not a thing, you were just getting it for coffee and stuff, but now if you put more money into it, they give you rewards back. If I would be able to do it for investment services, and say you're getting guaranteed, return right here, I would love that.
I have one piece of technology that I would love to have, and still, if I could. I want to have Netflix on my banking. No one knows me more than Netflix does. Hey, Harrison, guess what? Because you watch XYZ, you should like Elemental P, right? And not only that, once you watch this one, we're going to give you the next big thing, right? So there's some, speaking of different industries, right, other verticals, I mean, just think about it. That experience that we just take it for granted, obviously, because you just go log into your Netflix, Hulu, whatever the case might be, and it's going to have the right show for you. Hey, you were watching this thing last time? Resume. Does it happen with us? Not even close.
Is there a general number of manageable personas? She referenced a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, I can't give you a specific number. We try and categorize higher level, I would say, so there might be multiple under a specific segment, and you might have one for multiple lines of business. But I would say coming up with a realistic ideal customer or ideal member profile in our case is important, because I think a lot of times people tend to be very aspirational in thinking what that profile is, but do you have the products and services to serve that member today or that customer today? And if the answer is no, then we probably should create a whole strategy around that yet, assuming that you're going to have all these things. So that was a big learning for us, as we tended to be very aspirational. We want the most deposit-heavy, profitable members, as does everybody else in America, in the world, right? So I think being very realistic about who you're trying to reach and who you can achievably reach today helps to narrow that down, if that makes sense, if that helps.
Yeah, and I think even just because the data's there doesn't mean you necessarily have to act on it. So I think and it also depends on the footprint. If you're talking about one market or one state and you're trying to hit up 85 different segments, then it might be one person one day of the week. So I think 85 is too many. But I do think the size of your market and the audience population size is really going to help with that discussion.
So really appreciate, again, everyone, A, coming, B, our panelists, C, asking questions. How about a round of applause for our panelists here? And again, hopefully that you guys walk away with some nuggets. Hopefully you appreciate the honesty, trying to make this a simple conversation. So again, thanks everyone, and have a good day.